Okay, so I'm going to switch my screen to show you what we've got going on today. Please hold. Okay, can you see a slide that says TypeFocus on it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, I did it. All right, Solomon, I'm going to educational technology, right? You said that you're
That's
studying.
correct.
Yeah. Okay, go easy on me. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
I'm learning too. I'm learning a lot of this stuff.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So the TypeFocus is, like I mentioned before, an assessment that we have at the Career Center that, again, I will send you all the information to be able to access it and take it. And it's based on the Myers-Briggs assessment, which, Donna, I'm sure you're familiar with your studies in social work and psych.
I'm only in my second semester, still learning.
Oh, well, we'll learn together. It's fabulous. Okay, so actually you'll be interested in this. So the Myers-Briggs assessment is one of those, personality/behavior assessments that was created by a mother-daughter team. So you mentioned your daughter before. I thought you'd find that pretty cool. And what it does is measure different tendencies, behavioral tendencies. So it measures whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you are a sensing or a feeling type, whether you are judging or perceiving, and thinking or feeling. And we're going to go through all of those. Really what is important to know about all of these different types is that there's no good or bad. It's just your behavioral tendencies. So, it's not like you can get a bad score on this assessment. So I kind of like that. There's no bad. So the TypeFocus is like I said, an online inventory. It identifies a 4-letter type code that represents aspects of your personality behaviors based on your responses. And again, it's taken from the Myers-Briggs inventory. And when you log on and you take it, it'll ask you a whole bunch of different questions. Do you prefer this or this? And your answer is based on, what your tendency is. And I like to think about your tendency in the workplace, because for our purposes, we're using this as a workplace career tool. So I like to put it in context of the workplace. And then it collects your preferences and generates 5 reports for you that you can go through, and it gives you information about your, let's see if I have it here, your behavioral style. Let's go back. Your behavioral style, your values, your another type of characteristics, and then careers that are associated with your behavioral styles. Now, it sounds like all of you are kind of really strong in terms of the areas of study that you're in. You know where you're going, and that's awesome. So this will be more relevant for you in terms of, all right, how do I become more familiar with my behavioral style, and then how do I adapt that in a workplace where not everybody's going to have my work style. So I think for this group, we'll look at it from that lens. All right, so when you take the test and you get your assessment, you're categorized as one of these 16 different combinations of introvert, extrovert, sensing or intuition, thinking, feeling, or judging and perceiving. So this may look a little familiar to some of you. You may have seen something like this before. So what I'll do is I'll go through the different types, and then we'll have a little fun with them. So does that sound good to everybody? Okay. Yeah? Okay. All right. So when you take the assessment, the first report you'll get will give you your behavioral code, and this, you're seeing my report here, so you're looking deep, deep into my soul here. I scored an INFJ, and it will tell you, you know, how high in each of those categories you scored. So for me, my strongest or the most clear tendencies I have is introvert and judging, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I feel like you're all family now that I shared that with you. Okay. You'll come for Easter. Okay. So the first pair that the test measures is whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And it's not really the same as what we would normally think of introvert or extrovert. It's more about where you get your energy from. Do you get your energy from the outward, the outside, from people? So extroverts are very outgoing. They like things very fast paced. They like to work out loud and think out loud. They love being the center of attention. So they get their energy from outside sources, from outside. Whereas introverts can be described as maybe more reserved and private. They like a slower pace, they need their thinking time. They like to think through things in their heads rather than out loud, and would rather observe than be the center of attention. So they get their energy more from internal sources. Okay, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So you're either going to be an E or an I is your preference. And of course, we have both. Like, for example, I score high introversion, but when I'm in a classroom, I've got to kind of come on over to the extrovert side. I've got to be more, you know, focused on other people and talkative and outgoing. But then when I kind of come back to my natural state, I'm more reserved. I need processing time. You know, that's my normal or preferred style. All right, so then the next pair you would be is either S for sensing or N for intuition. So if you are the kind of person that likes to focus on the way things are, like reality based, I want facts, I want details, I want practical applications, I want everything very specific, you know, much like I think about the scientists that are presenting at the, you know, the COVID data every day. You know, I see them as very sensing. They need very specific literal data to process information. Rather, you know, and the opposite of that is, you know, somebody who prefers to take in information like by their intuition. You know, they think about possibilities. They see the big picture. There's, you know, ideas and there's concepts, and those are great, and like to describe things in a more poetic or figurative way. Then that you're the kind of person that relies more on your intuition when taking in information. Okay, again, neither is good or bad. We have both, but we have a preferred style. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. The next one is you're either thinking or a feeling in terms of how you like to make decisions. So if you're a thinking type person, you make decisions in an impersonal way. And that means you're using logic, you're using data, you're using, you know, you're described as level-headed. You want everything to be fair and just. As opposed to a feeling person making decision, you're making decisions based on your values, how the decision would affect others. You want harmony, you want everybody to get along. You like to please others and point out the best in people, and you can be seen as very warm and empathetic. Again, just two different styles of decision making, you know. And then the last pair of letters, you're either considered judging or perceiving. judging folks like to have matters settled. They need rules, they need deadlines, they like those things, they want step-by-step instructions. They want to make plans, they want to know what they're getting into before they get into it, as opposed to the perceiving folks who want, I want my options open and rules and deadlines, whatever, flexible. We'll make it up as we go, and we'll do things spontaneously in new situations, and that's all good. So again, it's not good or bad, it's just two different ways of looking at things. So that's the first piece of data that this assessment gives you. It gives you your Myers-Briggs personality type, and based on those characteristics. Does that make sense?
I think though, especially for this one, I did this just before logging in because I thought it was a necessary activity to inform this session. With the judging and the perceiving, I scored very low in the perceiving section, but I realized that I'm a mixture of both. So I think this is the only one that really kind of didn't speak to my personality.
Okay, that didn't speak to your personality, or did?
But it's like the options that are listed here. For me, it's a merger of what's in judging and what's in perceiving, and not some of what's in perceiving is, for me, like spontaneous enjoy surprises in your situation. It's kind of not. Yeah, I do, but not. I don't think at outright level to say yeah. I like to have things a bit more structured and stuff.
Yes. So Solomon, can I ask you a question? When you're getting together with a group of friends, are you the one that makes the plan, or are you the one that goes along with the plan?
I am the one that would plan everything out from start to finish.
Yeah.
So my friends so I'm the guy where my friends would just say, okay, this is what we're thinking. Because they know right after that, then my brain starts going like, okay, A, B, C down to Z. But then when we get together, I'm going to be the reserved, I'm not going to be the outgoing one.
Right.
So as much as I would have done all that planning, I'm the shy one in the corner.
Yeah.
If I'm to put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, you have a little bit of both in you, but it sounds like just from the little that you're telling me that your natural tendency would be, all right, let's get a plan in place. Let's, I want the details. I want to know what we're getting into, and, can organize accordingly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I am flexible. So there is no, okay, it has to be this way.
Yep. And I think that speaks to your, you know what? You made me think your major is educational technology, right?
Yes.
So education is a very spontaneous, creative thing, different for different folks, how they learn. And technology is a pretty structured thing in terms of, what's the platform that's best going to support this learning. So
I actually smiled when you spoke about yourself in the first slide about being extrovert when you were teaching, and then afterwards when you went back to your normal space, you're an introvert. Because that is exactly how I am. Because I used to teach. I taught for quite a few years before my current position, where I have as exam registrar. And that is exactly how it was. I enjoyed being in the classroom. I enjoyed teaching and everything. But after that's done, it's like, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Woo! I need some of my own. Yeah. Oh, I know. It's funny. All week we've been doing these career week sessions, and it's been back to back to back, which is awesome. I get so much energy from it. But the other night, I'm in bed at 7:30. I'm like, what is going on? Because I have to turn it off. So I'm glad you can appreciate that. It makes me feel better too. So yeah, so we've all got a little bit of each of this in us, and you know, I think if we're emotionally intelligent, we can, you know, vary our behaviors based on the situation and what it dictates. So that was a great point, Solomon. Thank you for that. So that's, again, one of the reports that the TypeFocus gives you. So you can see that. Then another thing that it gives you, if you take the next assessment, it identifies values that are important to you. So the values that it measures is the little yellow box on the side there of the slide: achievement, independence, recognition, relationships, support, and working conditions. And for me, the three values that came up as important were support, relationships, and working conditions. So why I think this is important is when you're going out and trying to find a position or an internship or whatever the case may be, you want to take a temperature in terms of, does this company, does this organization, you know, support the values that are important to me? Does it, so for me, I need a place that's going to be supportive of its employees, and there's got to be really great other coworkers to work with in a friendly environment, and offer good working conditions. And that's going to make me happy because it aligns with my values, right? And everybody's values are going to be different. And there are a million different values assessments out there. This is just the one that is attached to the TypeFocus. So this can just give you one piece of data in terms of your values. So that's another piece of the reporting that you'll get. And then the other thing, which might not be incredibly applicable to this group here, because you all seem very solid in your majors, but it'll tell you what tendencies you have in terms of career or industry options. So for example, if you score high in investigative, you might be interested in biology, chemistry, criminology, engineering, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a tool that is useful just to, I think for all of you at your level to say, oh yeah, I picked the right thing and I'm really in the right place because I'm an investigative person or I'm a conventional person, and look, there's my major, yay. So, you know, for you guys, I think you're more solid in this area than other students might be at other levels. So for me, I score high on social, enterprising, and artistic. So it tells me that I need a job that is, you know, communicating with people, teaching people, helping, providing services. So yay, I'm a career counselor. So, so for me, it makes sense what I'm doing. So that's another piece of data that you would get if you took this assessment. And the idea behind it is, if you can find work that aligns your personality and behavior strengths with your interests and your values, in the middle of all of that is going to be your sweet spot, that I like to call it. And that's where everything is kind of singing, like I'm doing the work that I'm interested in, I'm good at it, and it's in alignment with my values, and woo, I am, you know, on top of the world. And it also can tell you when something's off, you know, when you're not really clicking at work, or you're not clicking at an internship. Well, maybe something's not being supported, or maybe something's out of whack in terms of, right, this is not, this place is not supportive of something that I value, or this is not, you know, one of my interests. Or maybe it's an area of your work that you really don't like very much. You know, for me, if you put a spreadsheet in front of me, I just kind of want to go to sleep. I don't want to look at it, you know, because it's not something that I'm good at and have a natural tendency towards, but it's part of my job. So gotta love the spreadsheets, you know. But overall, when things are in alignment, you are happier and more satisfied, I think, in your career choices. So, so that's the assessment piece of it. So what I wanted to do, if you guys were okay with this, is kind of play with the introvert extrovert thing for a minute. So let me go down. So Kenny, tell me, would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
For myself,
Yes.
I'm kind of extraversion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Donna, how about you?
Well, I think in business, I'm more of an introvert. In my
Mhm.
personal life, I think I'm more of an extrovert.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that in business, I feel that I need to take a step back, not be, you can't be overly friendly in business. You have to be reserved when you're dealing with especially being in social work. I mean, you have to have a level of intimacy, but not be too close.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Understandable. Definitely. Brian, how about you? Would you describe yourself as introvert or extrovert?
Oh, I'm absolutely an introvert.
Okay. All right. Solomon, what about you?
Definitely introvert.
Introvert. All right. Fernando, what about you?
Extrovert.
Extrovert. Okay. Whew, I was worried there that we're going to have all these introverts and nobody would want to chat with me. Okay. All right. So, Fernando and Kenny, you guys are the introverts in the group, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys tell me, what do you find really annoying about introverts? Not these particular introverts that are on the call right now, but just introverts in general. What's really annoying about them?
I think it's sometimes it's very hard to tell what they want or what they're thinking because you will have to like pick the brain or have a like to be pushy sometimes, to get sort of like a conversation going. So it's hard. I guess it depends of because I understand it's two different types of introverts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is difficult to sometimes think, or see what their beliefs are.
Right. Yeah. What are you thinking? Tell me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Kenny, what is really annoying about introverts rather?
I think sometimes I ask them some suggestion or opinions. They don't really talk. They just kind of give you some sentences, just tell you, but that's not their real mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even though you try to show your emotion and just say, please just tell me, and they just like, no, I don't want, because their personality is kind of shy, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's so annoying. Yeah. All right. Now let's flip it. So my introverts, what's really annoying about extroverts?
Well, I think that sometimes extroverts, try to push their opinion on you, get you to think their way. And if you don't, they want to have an argument about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really not about arguing.
Yes.
Discussing, yes, but arguing, no.
That's a whole different ball of wax.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
agree. Awesome. Solomon, what do you think? What's really annoying about extroverts?
Annoying.
Come on, let it go.
I never thought about it that way. But I think contextually, if we look at what's happening right now, I think the introverts are able to function better than the extroverts because we're used to our corner. I have a lot of my friends saying right now, "Oh my goodness!" It's like back home in St. Kitts, Nevis, where I'm from. We have for the next 7 days, there's going to be 24-hour lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I'm going to jail because I cannot be home for that long.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, when this whole thing started, you made me laugh, Solomon, because my mom told me, she goes, this is an introvert's dream, this quarantine. I'm like, I know. Meanwhile, my husband, who is a very high extrovert, is pacing around like, what do I do?
Right.
Meanwhile, I am happy as pie to just be doing my thing, nice and quiet, all good. Yes. Brian, what about you? What's very annoying about extroverts?
Oh no, that would imply that I hang out with people. I'm an introvert. That's kind of it's kind of the thing that doesn't happen. I don't know a lot of extroverts. I usually try to stick more of introvert, like all my friends, because it's just what like the hobbies we're into. We're pretty much all introverts. So
Oh, that's interesting.
That is
yeah,
interesting. Awesome. So you've got your introvert posse.
pretty much.
That is
Okay.
interesting because
I
I
have
think
more things annoying with introverts than I do with extroverts, and I'm an introvert. So I mean,
Oh,
that's interesting because the
gotcha.
majority of my friends are extroverts, but they can't get me to go anywhere.
Yeah. Like to your point, Donna, they're trying to bring you to their ideas and what they want to do, right? All right, so let's flip it around. That was fun. So Kenny and Fernando are extroverts. What do you really admire about our introverts?
I think in a way I like the fact that I can relate to many situations. Maybe I'm a very self-aware and I can go, very outgoing. I would like, sometimes to be less of, I guess, social because I tend to talk to everybody. And most of the times where I'm first meeting somebody, and they, like they say, oh, what is, sometimes they'll say, oh, you seem like very friendly. I would like to be more like you. And I'm like, yes, I probably will be, I would like to be less friendly because I find myself in trouble sometimes, because that's what I do all the time when I'm, out, in social. I would speak with it, like anybody.
Yeah.
And I make a lot of good friends, and I met a lot of people. But at the same time, it's like sometimes I guess we are um, in a society that not everybody will be open to talk to you, and I guess sometimes you find people that they will talk to you because they had no choice. But yeah, I guess that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Fernando.
Mhm.
Kenny, what do you admire about introverts?
Honestly, I don't know, but you know, they can kind of let me be quiet a little bit because I usually talk a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
when I meet the introverts people, yeah, I try to not speak too much.
Yeah. So they kind of help you come down a little bit.
Yeah, and thinking more sometimes.
Think more. That's awesome. All right, let's flip it around. My extrovert. No. Yeah, my introverts. What do you really admire about the introverts?
wait, so introverts are admiring introverts?
No, introverts are. What do you admire about extroverts?
Didn't we ask that already?
We talked about annoying. Now we're gonna show them some love.
Oh, okay. Hold up, I need to think about it. I don't normally think about
Yeah,
people's
no worries.
personalities. Um, yeah, you might want to move on while I'm thinking. This
You
is gonna
think,
probably
you
be a
process.
bit.
You're an introvert. You need to process. I get that. No worries. Donna, what about you?
Well, one thing that I like is they seem more relaxed,
Mm,
free spirits,
mhm.
not concerned if somebody else doesn't like what they say.
Yeah.
And I think that that's sort of a good thing,
Mhm.
as long as you're not insulting anyone.
True.
But having that spontaneity is, I think is really very good. I admire that.
Mm. What about you, Solomon?
Right. I think it's kind of similar to Donna, where for me, that although I might not be the one to say, okay, let's go rock climbing, or whatever else, it's you just always have that that buffer in terms of the moment that I may, for whatever reason, decide that I want to do something new. It's like they're always there to just like support.
That's true. Awesome. All right, Brian, did you think of anything to love about them?
I guess like just their ability in general to be like social. Like I try to be more social, but like it just doesn't usually work out. So I guess I admire like their natural ability to just be more sociable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Brian. All right, and now finally, so what possible sources of conflict can you see between introverts and extroverts?
I guess just kind of like how they do things could end up leading to just like some natural conflicts.
Yeah.
Like they're practically like they're like almost like diametrically opposed when it comes to like how they get things done.
Absolutely. What else? Anyone?
This is a very interesting question for me because I'm in charge of overseas examinations. So students in there, well, the equivalent in the US would be, for example, in grade 5, taking their final exam. I would be responsible for that as an example. So I have a small staff, persons, and then of course during the more busy periods, I would have seasonal staff. But I find that for me, and that's why I realized that talking through this, I see that as much as I'm maybe more introvert, I do have extrovert tendencies when it matters. So I find that I'm able to adjust to someone's personality, if that makes sense. So I tend to get a feel of how is it that you function, and try to work with that particular style. So it ends up not being a conflict, and then for the most part, over time, we end up being in sync.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to just play around with this introvert extrovert exercise, because to your point, Solomon, you're not going to work with everybody that's the same as you. So you're going to have to figure out, okay, how, if I know my coworker or my manager or my team captain is an extrovert and I'm an introvert, how do I have to change my behavior or adjust my behavior to their style? And also the flip side, how do I have to teach them to work effectively with me, so we can get things done and accomplished? So, you know, I just wanted to play with this a little bit to highlight, you know, we've got both of these different tendencies in us, and how we adjust and move, especially now, I think, when everything is so fluid and flux, and layer on top of that, everybody's stress level is a little bit higher, I think. How do we adjust and work together a little bit better? Does that make sense? I hope so. Well, thank you for playing. I appreciate that. I hope that was a little bit fun. So do you guys have any questions for me?
I think I'm good.
You good? Okay. Donna, you good?
Yeah, I think I am. I'll like to take the assessment and see how that goes, and maybe afterwards I can contact you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great.
Solomon, you good?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
Okay. Fernando, you okay?
Yes, yes, I'm okay. Thank you very much.
So what I would ask you guys to do, if it's okay, is put your email in the chat box for me. And what I will do is email you this slide deck and the instructions to take the assessment. And then you'll have my email so you can ask me any questions. And also know that, you know, the Career Center is open. We are here. Any needs that you have in terms of your resume, cover letters, all that good stuff. So, you know, I hope this was helpful and fun. And let me know if there's anything. That's my dog, just saying.
I was just going to say thank you, but the dog started barking.
Oh, good. I heard thank you through the dog, so that was all good. It's all good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for hanging with me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it helped contextualize the assessment a bit better for me. So that was good.
Awesome. Awesome. And like I said, when I send this out to you, you'll have my email, so feel free to reach out with anything you need, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right.
You too.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.